Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy BSML back with another video coming at you raw like Donkey Kong. I'm super excited to bring this video to you guys because we'll be discussing the differences between homeschooling and public school based off of my experience, okay? Now, before we even get started, I want you guys to do me a favor. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to the channel because we'll be discussing these types of topics all the time, and we'll be making comparison and contrasting today. And of course, like usual, I'll be giving you guys my opinion at the end, okay? Without further ado, let's dive into this topic. Since I was young, my family have always been a fan of homeschooling. Now, that's not to say public school is bad, but that's just to say due to age and wisdom, because my father is an older father, he thought that this decision was going to be the best in the long run for his kids. And me personally, I think he was right. But regardless on whether the chips are falling left or right and how the dice rolls, we're in this situation right now. Today in society, whether you're pro homeschool or you're pro public school, what comes with homeschooling is going to be a lot different than what comes with public school, okay? When you're homeschooling, you both have to be on the same page. Your family structure has to be intact, and everyone has to be on board, because if not, it's going to cause a conflict of interest. And nowadays, since families aren't big, you only have, 1 to 3 kids, it makes it a lot easier to teach your kids realistically. Technology is on point. You have multiple people offering services for homeschooling, and that's pretty much a huge thing. Back in the day, it wasn't really like that. There's only select people who were homeschooling, and if they did homeschool, they were kind of weird. and I know that's a lot of people's concerns. Now, let's not get into too much of a tangent right now. Let's go into public school first, and let's go into the pros of public school. Public school was an interesting experience for me, one that I'd rather not remember, but in any case, let's kind of get into it. Some of the things that are pros for going to public schools, in my opinion, are friendships and bonds. Now, see, this is something that can't be understated or underestimated, because when you have these friendships and bonds, they can last a lifetime. See, me, I'm a firm believer that you cannot go into a life as a lone wolf. You'll get eaten alive, and you'll get taught harsh lesson after harsh lesson after harsh lesson until you realize what your mistake was. So that being said, friendships and bonds that you make with people, your peers, over TV shows, over music, anime, and anything in between cannot be understated, okay? Next is sports and athletics. No matter what you do in life, you're going to face adversity. One of the positive things about going to public school is that you have a sports and athletic program that's going to teach you how to get over adversity. Now, I understand what many of you guys are thinking, that, hey, listen, sports are really not that important. You're going to school to learn, things like that. Hey, I get it. But at some point in life, you're going to hit a fork in the road, and you need to know what to do. You need to know how to get over that, right? And sports and athletic provides that type of environment, okay? Next is social skills. Social skills is an important one, because you guys got to understand, with the decline of traditionalism and the rise of technology, people don't know how to appropriately react to each other or interact with each other. That being said, social skills are very, very important in today's day and age, and it will benefit you in the long run once you figure out how to interact with people on your level, okay? Next is credentials and field of study. Now, if you're the type of person who always wants the best teacher to kind of teach your kids, and you're a degree head, you have to have a degree to teach them, you're in the right place, because legally in public schools, you cannot teach without a degree or a teaching license that I know of. Now, there are some special cases, there are some special things that can happen that I don't know of in different parts of the country. Hey, so be it. But normally, in a normal situation, you guys cannot teach without a degree, so you're in luck there. Okay. And last point of this topic is diversity. One of the things that you will run into, I promise you will, is that you're going to come into contact with people with different backgrounds, different ethnicities, and different belief systems that can possibly open you up to different culture. Now, this is going to benefit you in the long run because what it does is it gives you the sense of not everyone is the same. See, as black people, you guys get stuck in a case of everyone acts like this, everyone is this type of person, things like that. And honestly, that's not the case at all, you know. And so, you guys checked out my last video, and I appreciate you guys. You guys know how I was brought up. I never saw my first black person until I was like, what, 9 or 10 years old, right? And so before that, I never really, you know, had the thought that crossed my mind that, hey, there were other black people in the world or people that just like me that look like me. That wasn't even my thought process. The only thing that we were thinking of is the things that we had to do and the things that we had to accomplish. Hey guys, real quick. Hey, if you reached this point in the video, thank you very much for your support. Please go ahead and hit the like button, comment your thoughts, and subscribe and share it to your friends that may be on the fence of homeschooling or public school. Now, without further ado, let's get back to the video. All right, guys, so now let's get into the pros of homeschooling, which is structure and discipline. One of the coolest things about homeschooling is that you can get really creative and connect with your kids in a way that they can't in public school. Understanding and knowing your kids and their tendencies and how they learn is going to be really, really important when you're establishing your structure, because this structure is going to be used for years to come, possibly, or maybe even months to come if this is not something that you want to do in the long term. That's okay, you know, but knowing them and planning for them and structuring your lesson plans for your student is going to be super, super important. Next is bonds. As a family, you already have bonds. I talked about family structure earlier before you even start the journey of homeschooling, but the fact that you already have the bond is going to make that, you know, much easier process on you when you're looking into this, okay? Both parents have to be on board, of course, and both parents have to enforce things that you may not necessarily want to, but that's going to be for the good. But these bonds are going to help your kids not necessarily want to let you down, and it's going to make them want to try even harder because they know they don't want to disappoint you. Next is slow learners versus fast learners. Now, this is going to be incredibly challenging for you guys, but it's also a good thing because one thing it's going to have you do is going to have you learn your kids a little bit more, okay? You're also going to realize that, hey, maybe me being overbearing or me being a helicopter parent is really not the best learning, structure for my kid. On the other hand, your other kids may need that because they're a little bit slower of a learner. Now, you're always going to be able to tell the difference between the fast learner and a slow learner. Like, the fast learner is going to pick it up extremely, extremely quickly. They're going to get things done. They're going to eat up the lesson plan, and then they're going to go about their day, go on to the next lesson, which is science or something like that, right? If you were anything slow, like in math or science, like myself, it's going to take you all day to do those things if you don't have any help or if you don't have a way to explain something that can make sense to you, okay? But figuring out those differences and planning for it is also a good thing because, like I said, it gives you the chance to know your kids a little bit more. Next is shared goals. Being as that you're homeschooled, you have a very specific way of doing things, and you have things that you do outside of the home that can prove very useful, during schoolwork as well. I have brothers, and I'll always competed with my brothers until I've surpassed them. And then once I surpassed them, I had nothing else to do, nothing else to compete with, because everything that I knew as far as competition was, with my people I knew, people that I was around 24/7. Now, granted, we did have, people outside of the house that were competition for us, but we'd always beat them, so it necessarily wasn't really a competition. Shared goals between family members and shared goals between a family itself is super, super important, because no telling what you guys are going to be able to get into in the future, or what you're going to be able to parlay based off of this homeschooling and based off of the interactions that you have in your community. The next is student teacher. The cool thing about having kids that are older, and myself, I have 4 older siblings, is that you get to learn from those older siblings, right? I think in America right now, most people have 1.5 kids, 2 kids, things like that. And so the cool thing is that older kid, let's just say you homeschooled him up until he was 5 or 6 years old before you had the next kid. That 5 or 6-year-old is gonna want to teach the younger one everything that he knows. And so that's gonna make your job
a lot easier, and it's gonna make you stress even less because you're gonna have to cook dinner, you're gonna have to go to Pilates, yoga, go grocery shopping and things like that, clean the house because the house is gonna be messy and things. And so it just gives you it gives you way more flexibility than you originally thought. And so the first kid might be a fast learner, like I talked about earlier, and you didn't really have that much of a difficult time with him. But the second one could be a little challenging. But the benefit of having two kids that are homeschooled is that those kids up there that are older will want to help the younger ones get better and to succeed. Lastly, we have minimum disputes. Okay. And so, as we all know, in schools, public school is terrible with fights, shootings, and stabbings, right? They really can't control it. It's not like they don't want to control it. It's just that they can't control it because of the power that they have. However, with you in the household and with you controlling things that get into the house, you can kind of prevent this. The other thing that's being a factor in public schools that, kids are, kind of motivated by is drill music, right? Drill music is is like an anthem and an encouragement for people to rob, kill, steal, and stuff like that. And they bring that energy to school because a lot of the kids at school, they come from broken homes, which is not necessarily a bad thing because I come from a broken home eventually, but they don't necessarily have your same morals and your ideals. So you have minimum disputes at home when you homeschool, and then the disputes that you will have come up is, hey, I don't want to do this. Hey, I don't want to do that. I don't want to clean my room. Well, like I said earlier, because they respect you and they have deference for you, they're not going to want to disappoint you. But although sometimes they will try you. But hey, look, that's it for the day, guys. My opinion, if I'm being totally honest, homeschooling is always going to be the best option. I think that, start off with homeschooling up until 13 or 14, then send them to private school or boarding school and things like that. Let them know sports, let them get to know different people. You should trust the way you raise your kids up until this point. And so anything that comes in after that is just going to be icing on the cake, and it's just going to give them experience for when they go out into the real world. For myself, I was an adult at 15. I was moving and doing things on my own and working. For a lot of other people, that's really not the case. But your kids will be set up a lot better if they are homeschooled going into adulthood than if they're not, because they have the schedule to follow, and they have things that they do on their own that most people are not doing. Okay, but that's just me, guys. I know I'm an anomaly. Not everyone is raised like me, and that's okay. Do the best that you can, guys. I love you. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.